So it is. It is, but it's kind of using filters, but it's using filters and custom properties. So for any of you that are kind of familiar, established users of N-central, um, you'll know that from the all devices view, there is a bulk edit. So if we were previously using, let's say, AV Defender, and we wanted to change the security profile we were using on AV Defender, we could come in here and I could select, these workstations, and then I could click on my edit, and this does what we call a bulk edit. And then I could come down here and I could click on Security Manager, and I could choose, the configuration profile. I could choose the one I want to use here, and I could save that, and that would apply that profile then to those devices as such. That's not possible for EDR because EDR is not a direct integration, it's an iframe integration. So when it comes to changing the profile in EDR, you can do it manually. But what I find works really well is to leverage custom properties in this scenario. So I typically will deploy EDR initially in detect-only mode. That is the recommended approach, particularly to a new environment. That allows us to identify if there's any whitelisting or exclusions that we need to create within that environment. And then after a period of, let's say, typically 72 hours, once we've reviewed that deployment, we'll switch it over to protect mode. Now, if I roll that out to a customer in detect-only mode, I then don't want to go back in and change all that manually as such. So how I handle that, and obviously this can, if we have 3 or 4 different profiles that we're using, we can just expand this logic as such. So I typically will come into custom properties, and I will create something like an EDR profile custom property. So I click in here and I'll do it by device, and I'll choose a drop-down type. And I'll call this EDR profile. And I'll call this, I'll add my default values here. The default value I always leave is not set or none or not configured, because I'm not going to turn EDR profile maybe in all my devices. And then I will add additional properties that correspond with the profiles I've created. So we might call one detect only, and we might add a second one called protect mode. I'll then add this to all the device classes. We don't need to worry about the operating system. There's too many different versions to be including them all here. So we're just going to do it for the different device classes. We can deploy EDR2. So that's our laptop Windows, our workstation Windows, our workstation Macs, and our server Windows as such. So I have my custom device properties created now. So all the devices that fall into these device classes have this property assigned by default, which is set to not set. And then I can obviously choose which profile I'm going to use by switching the actual property here as such. So we'll go ahead and save that there for now. Once I have the custom properties created, I then want to create a filter. So I'm going to come up to my configuration and filters, and I'll use the same naming convention here. So I'll click on add here again, and I'll call this EDR profile. But this time I'm going to put in the actual variable that I want to use. In this case, it's going to be detect only. I'm going to make that available to everyone. I'm going to show it in my drop-down, and it's a simple one-line filter, device. I'm going to say custom property or custom device property. I'm going to choose the custom device property, in which case it's EDR profile, and I'm going to say equals to, and I'm going to choose detect only. Now, right now, we should have no devices because I haven't turned it on anywhere, so it should be blank. So I can go ahead and save that filter, and I'm going to recreate that filter again. So you could obviously copy the filter, but you'll save next to no time. So we'll just add a second one. So we'll just call this EDR profile, and I'll call this protect mode. And again, make it available to everyone, showing your drop down. And again, simple device, custom device properties, and we'll choose custom device property again, EDR profile. We'll say equals to, and this time we'll choose protect mode. And again, we'll preview that no devices currently show up, because all devices that are in this filter should be on the not set mode, and we can see all those devices there as well. So we'll go ahead and leave that at protect mode, and we'll save that as well. So I have created a custom device property, which I've tagged all the devices. I've created 2 filters that correlate with the actual profiles in EDR that I want to use. And the next thing I'm going to do to tie it all together is create my rules. So I'm going to come into monitoring and rules. and I'm going to choose to create rules to deploy EDR. So I'm going to click on add to create a rule here, and I'm going to choose to keep the naming convention the same, deploy EDR, and then we'll choose detect only. We're going to apply that to our profile that we've created. So EDR detect only. Under network device configuration options, we're going to choose endpoint detection response. We'll choose install. We'll choose our detect only profile. We can start installation immediately, or we can configure a maintenance window. And then we can assign that to all our customers, and we can propagate to new customers and sites that we add in future as well. So again, this rule should be blank at the moment because we don't have any devices. So we'll go ahead and we'll save that. Now, I will clone this rule this time around. So we're going to come back in here and we're going to choose our deploy EDR. I'm going to click on my clone and I'm going to call this deploy EDR protect mode. Again, I'm going to save that here. And this logic can be applied to so many different things, using custom properties, filters, and rules, not just for EDR, but we'll see the outcome in a moment. So I've cloned my rule for protect mode. I obviously need to change the filter that I'm using here again. So we're going to come in here again. We're going to switch around the filters. We'll remove that and we'll add our protect mode. And then under network device configuration options, I can click on my protect mode. And again, no devices currently fall into this criteria, so I can go ahead and save that as such. So I have my rules in place now. So if I want, let's say I want to deploy to a customer initially in detect only mode, and then in a week's time I want to switch them over, what I could do with this configuration is I come in here and I can choose my workstations and laptops, for example. I can select all my devices. And if we look at custom property here, I can click on my custom properties tab. I can see my EDR profile from the drop down. They're all set to not set at the moment. So I can go ahead and click on detect only and click on OK. And that would obviously deploy EDR in detect only mode on these devices. But then in a week's time, if I want to switch these all over to protect mode, I simply come back in here, select the devices again, and I can click on custom properties. And I can then come back in here again, and from the drop down, I can choose protect mode. And again, I can click on OK, and that will pretty much instantly switch the profile from detect mode to protect mode. I think SentinelOne says it can take a minute for the new profile to apply, but typically it shouldn't take more than 10 seconds. So that's a way really of applying a different profile to a group of devices within N-central on bulk as such. And the benefit of doing this way as well is because the filters obviously target the custom property, you can also use those filters then. So if you want to see what devices have EDR deployed in protect mode, for example, you can see exactly which ones are listed here as such as one device in my current environment as well.